Hi, I'm Tabor Aiken, Public Information Officer and firefighter for the Lakeville Fire Department. Welcome to another edition of On Call. The goal of this program is to educate and inform the citizens of Lakeville about how Lakeville's all-volunteer fire department trains and responds to emergencies. Let's take a look at what's coming up on this edition of On Call. We'll head out to area lakes to learn about how Lakeville firefighters train and respond to ice rescue situations. In the Chief's Corner, Fire Chief Scott Nelson will give us an update on the Lakeville Fire Department's latest rookie class. On Ask Tabor, I'll share some information about where we do our training. We'll give you some more information on changes within the fire department on Did You Know? Scratch will take us on another fantastic adventure, and we'll wrap things up with consumer safety checklist. Here in Minnesota, there are many winter outdoor activities available for us to enjoy, but there are certain risks when choosing activities located on a frozen lake. Not trying to scare you, we're here to educate and inform so that a day of ice fishing or snowmobiling doesn't end up with a rescue from the fire department. Here's Lakeville Fire Department Captain Todd Sellner with information on ice safety.
One of the things to remember if you're going to go out on the ice is there's no such thing as safe ice. No ice is ever safe. There are some guidelines for thickness of ice, which are about 4 inches for foot traffic, 5 inch for ATV or snowmobile, and 8 to 12 inches for light trucks and cars. But you should continue to check the depth. You know, you can do that through a local sporting goods store, bait shop store. They may have some information on what the thickness is of the different lakes. There's numerous types of ice, such as probably about 10 types. Some of the more common would be clear ice, which is the strongest of them. It's just when it gets well below freezing, there's no snow, just clear, solid ice. Otherwise, there's white ice, which is when you get the thin layer of ice and then snow on top of it, it melts and becomes a milky white, and that tends to be very weak. And then you also have layered ice, which is just what it sounds like, layers of ice, which can also be very unstable and weak. Some of the things you want to do if you're going to go on the ice, if it's at night, don't overdrive your headlights. You should have a personal flotation device with you, which you'll never want to wear the flotation device inside the vehicle. Don't put it on until you get outside the car. Also, when you're driving in a vehicle, you may want to roll the windows down, unbuckle your seat belts, and have a plan that if you were to break through the ice, how would you get out of the vehicle? Another thing you may want to carry on with you is ice awls. Basically, it's going to be a handheld device. You can make them at home with a wooden dowel and some nails, or just go to the local sporting goods store and buy them, and they just help you climb out of the ice. They basically a nail and a little peg. It just helps assist you in getting out of the ice. You should have a buddy with you. And once again, be prepared and have a plan that if something was to happen, if you were to break through, that person that's with you is going to want to get a hold of 911 as soon as possible. If you're not carrying something with you that you could reach the person with, there may be something, you're close enough to shore where you can grab a boat oar or jumper cables, rope, branch, anything you can reach the person, because you don't want to get too close to where they busted through, because it's obviously already too weak.
So the best thing to do is be aware of ice conditions and your surroundings. But what happens when someone falls through the ice and the fire department is called to help? Here's Lieutenant Don Johnson explaining how the fire department responds to an ice rescue.
In the event of that type of rescue situation, we have equipment that we have to start getting on before we get to the scene. We have ice rescue suits that take a little bit of time to get on. They are somewhat watertight, although they do leak, but they keep you floating while in the water. We're also trying to get as much information as we can as we get there. Is the victim coherent? Is he able to help us? Is there bystanders? Is there people that's seen where they went in, and try to get a better location? Obviously, we can't drive our trucks out onto the ice, so we have to get there. Above all, it's trying to be safe. With that in mind, we don't want to be part of the emergency. So when we do arrive, hopefully we have one or two firefighters in the rescue suits that are ready to go into the water. We also have anyone that's on the ice has to wear a personal flotation device, before we can even go out on the ice and attempt to rescue someone. One of the factors to really consider is if that person's able to help themselves. Obviously, if we can keep from going into the water, that's the best scenario for us. We'll have, we can throw them rope, we can throw them other flotation devices to try to help pull them out of the water. We have long pike poles that we can use to try to pull a victim out of the water. In worst case scenario, if someone's suffering from advanced stages of hypothermia, or we do have to go in, we will go in the water and attempt to rescue someone. Traditionally, what we'll try to do is a one-person rescue. It's easier, it's less involved. There'll be firefighters on some part of the ice or dry land, hopefully with rope, and connected to that rope are carabiners that will keep us locked into that safety rope. The firefighter will walk out onto the ice. As they get closer, they'll start to kneel down or crouch down so we don't break any more ice around there if possible. Again, to be safe and not be part of the emergency, we'll usually come into the side or from behind the victim, try to calm them down, talk to them the whole way, try to calm that person down as much as we can. Slip into the water behind him, hook into the rescue rope. He'll then notify the firefighters on land using some hand signals that he's ready to go, and the help from the shore will pull both the victim and the firefighter out of the water. Well, then we have to start treating the hypothermia. So hopefully we can get that person into either an ambulance or a fire truck, try to get them out of the wet clothes and into warm blankets, and by that time EMS should be there and be able to help take that over. The sheriff's office is actually responsible for the dive team situation, and in most instances, if we do have a water rescue scenario, they'll probably start the dive team. Hopefully it won't return into a recovery, but the fire department is only involved in the actual rescue. Any recovery would have to be done by the sheriff's office.
Our goal is the same as yours, to have a good time out on the lakes in Minnesota. So please be careful when you go out there. Check ice conditions before you go, either by calling the DNR or checking with the local bait shop. And remember, no piece of ice is ever 100% safe. And now we're going to send it over to Fire Chief Scott Nelson for Chief's Corner.
Hi, Chief Scott Nelson here with another segment of Chief's Corner. What I'd like to talk about today is our latest recruit class and probably go over some of the things that they've accomplished in their 2 years of probation with the Lakeville Fire Department. We're proud to say that we just graduated our recent class this last month, and here are some of the things that they've accomplished during the past 2 years so that they can be successful members of the Lakeville Fire Department. They have spent 200+ hours completing Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2 training with hazardous materials operations training. And actually, we taught this class in-house with our own people, and everyone passed their state certification test the very first time, and they had above average scores. So we're real proud of that as well. They also completed a couple 12-hour training courses in ice rescue training, apparatus operator training, and pump operations. And finally, they've done a 40-hour first responder emergency medical training course that they've completed as well. All this was completed in addition to attending regular drill training twice a month and responding to a minimum of 30% of their respective station calls. To put this in the right perspective, with many departments, it's typical to lose 30 to 40% of our rookies during the first 2 years because of their activities, and they're very busy and they have to balance the initial training with family commitments and job commitments. But in Lakeville, with this class, we started with 17 recruits and only lost one who moved out of the area. Very excited at that success rate. But this speaks not only well for our rookies, but also for our recruit program and all our firefighters who have helped with training and mentoring these new members. It also speaks well for the families of each rookie who have sacrificed time with their loved ones and provided support so they could make their probation. It couldn't have happened without them. Last February, we celebrated that in front of City Council and recognized our class of 2008, and we allowed a family member or an officer of the rookie's choice to pin their badge, signifying the completion of their probationary period in front of them in a very, very nice ceremony. For me, I'm very proud of these individuals. They've had a lot of successes. I'm proud of our department because we have helped support and mentor these people, and it's a great thing to see everything happen for the community as it has.
Bill Face here for No Fear CPR. If you see someone collapse, check for responsiveness, movement, or breathing. No pulse means sudden cardiac arrest. If someone has any of these symptoms, you must call 911, send someone to find an AED, start chest compressions immediately, hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of your favorite 70s disco tune. Be a part of No Fear CPR and help stop the #1 killer in America. I'm Bill Face.
As Fire Chief Scott Nelson indicated earlier in the program, our most recent class of rookies just finished their 2-year probationary period and moved on to becoming regular firefighters. Congratulations to them. But did you know that the Lakeville Fire Department still needs additional firefighters? In fact, Lakeville Fire Station 3 has 4 open spots, and we just finished the recruiting and interviewing process for those 4 positions, which were opened as a result of moves, retirements, or other attrition that occurs within the department. These firefighters that were hired will start their training process very soon, and we look forward to adding them to the fire department. If you're interested in becoming a Lakeville firefighter, the recruitment process probably won't start for another year or 2, but feel free to give us a call and add your name to the waiting list. You may call 952-985-4700.
And now it's time for you, the viewer, to ask a question where you have the chance to win a t-shirt in another exciting edition of Ask Tabor.
Our question is from Tom in Lakeville. Tom says, Tabor, I know you guys have fire training on Mondays, but where does the training take place? Well, Tom, we've got about 4 primary locations that we use depending on what we're doing. If we're doing vehicle extrication or something like that, we use the Merrick slot and they'll provide vehicles for us. If we're doing something with structures, anything like that, we're going to use a couple of different locations. There's a facility called ABLE, which is in Burnsville, and that stands for Apple Valley, Burnsville, Lakeville, and Eagan. Those are the 4 departments that own that joint training facility. We use that for any kind of live fire that we're going to do. It's built for that type of training. We might do training at the station, just do some, it might be a PowerPoint or something like that, a classroom piece, and occasionally we'll do hands-on piece like laddering the building, etc. As you can see today, we're not at any of those locations. We're outside. This is good practice. We're using a home that is no longer occupied. It's owned by a construction company that'll be developing the area soon, and we're getting in here, getting some hands-on training. As you can see, it's snowy out, so this is good realistic training. We can use the home to set up different scenarios like we might actually encounter on a fire scene, but it's a safe, controlled environment. In this particular case, the power is out. Of course, it's a winter evening, so the sun set quite a while ago. That's helpful because it simulates a dark environment like we might have in a fire situation. And then in some cases, we can do a little bit of damage to the building, do some cutting or things that we wouldn't want to do to a training facility or anyone's actual home. But because this building's going to be torn down at some point, we're able to get in there, get dirty. We're not too worried about the maintenance of the facility or the long-term care of it. So it gives us a good hands-on practice site. Tom, thanks for your question. We're going to get you a Lakeville Fire Department t-shirt for your troubles. And if anyone else would like one, feel free to give us a call or send us in a question. We'll get you on the air and in turn get you a Lakeville Fire Department t-shirt.
Could one of these people start a deadly fire? Careless smoking is the #1 cause of fire fatalities. However, most fires are preventable. So, will one of these people start a deadly fire? It's up to them. You can protect your family and your home from fire. Visit GetYourButtOutside.com. Brought to you by the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Association and the Minnesota Fair Plan.
Smith family, this is your fire hazard makeover. Let's go.
Dan, do you know these people?
Did you know most fire casualties happen at home? Let's check it out.
Clean up debris outside to prevent accidental fire as well as arson.
Clean up around your water heater. Dryer lint catches fire very easily.
Store flammables in safety-approved containers, up and out of the reach of children.
And cleaning up cluttered workspaces helps prevent fires.
Don't overload outlets. Use a power strip if needed. Your home has just had the fire hazard makeover.
Here's your check it out checklist.
Now you can do this too.
Check it out!
Whoa! It's me, Scratch. Hey, I'm in here in the dryer. Hey, how'd I get in here? Oh, that's gonna hurt. Hey, I gotta get me out of here right now. Oh, hey, how did I ever get in that clothes dryer? It's going to bumpity, bumpity, dumpity, bumpity. Everyone that is I, Scratch the fire dog. I like to scratch out the fires. Well, folks, we're here to talk to you today about overheated clothes dryers and how they can cause fires if not taken care of properly. Now, it is estimated that in 1997, there were 16,700 fires, 30 deaths, and 430 injuries associated with these clothes dryers. Now, some of these fires can occur when lint builds up in the filter or in the exhaust duct. Under certain conditions, when lint blocks the flow of air, excessive heat buildup can cause fires in some dryers. So hey, let's look at some safety tips so that doesn't happen in your home. Yeah, let's do it. If you are having the dryer installed, insist upon metal ducts, unless the installer has verified that the manufacturer permits the use of plastic ducts. If clothing is still damp at the end of a normal cycle or requires longer drying times, this may be a sign that the exhaust or lint screen is blocked. Next, check the exhaust duct more often if you have a plastic flexible duct. This type of duct is more apt to trap lint than ducting without ridges. Inspect the duct for kinks or crushing, which can greatly reduce the airflow. And finally, clean the lint filter regularly and make sure the dryer is operating properly. Clean the filter after each load of clothing. While the dryer is operating, check the outside exhaust to make sure exhaust air is escaping normally. If it is not, turn the dryer off and look inside both ends of the duct for lint. Remove any lint found there. Now, if there are signs that the dryer is hotter than normal, this may be the sign that the dryer's temperature control thermostats need thermosing. Thermosing? How about servicing? Hey, did you get to that one? It's a thermosing, not the servicing. Hey, that's pretty good. Well, folks, that's some dryer tips to make sure your dryer does not catch on the fire in your home. So this is a Scratch the Fire Dog, because I like to scratch out the fires. We'll see you next time, folks. Hey, I think I'm going to get in for another ride. Here we go. Whoa!
Venmar Ventilation Incorporated of Quebec, Canada, announces a recall of about 75,000 heat recovery ventilators. These ventilators were sold at heating, plumbing, and building supply distributors nationwide from January 1991 through December 2001 for between $700 and $2,500. Consumers should immediately turn off and unplug their ventilators and contact Venmar to receive instructions on how to participate in the recall. Venmar will provide a free safety device that will shut off the ventilator if the motor overheats. For more information, contact Venmar Ventilation toll-free at 866-441-4645 or visit the firm's website at www.venmar.ca. Pier 1 Imports of Fort Wayne, Texas announces the recall of about 40,000 silver glitter tea lights and gold glitter tea lights. The flame from the tea lights can ignite the glitter on the candle, posing a fire hazard. Consumers should immediately stop using the tea lights and return them to the nearest Pier 1 Imports retail store for a full refund or merchandise credit. You can contact Pier 1 Imports at 800-245-4595 or visit the firm's website at www.pier1.com. Radio Shack Corporation of Fort Worth, Texas announces a recall of about 6,000 Danbar Nighthawk toy helicopters. The battery housing under the helicopter canopy can overheat while charging, posing a fire hazard. These toy helicopters were sold at Radio Shack stores, Radio Shack dealer franchise stores nationwide, and at www.radioshack.com from October 2009 through November 2009 for about $60. You can contact Radio Shack for more information at 800-843-7422 or visit the firm's website at www.radioshack.com. Innovage LLC of Foothill Ranch, California announces the recall of about 360,000 Discovery Kids animated marine and safari lamps. A defect in the lamp's printed circuit board can cause an electrical short, posing a fire and burn hazard to consumers. These lamps were sold at mass merchandise, department, drug and hardware stores nationwide, online, and through direct sales from July 2009 through January 2010 for about $10. Consumers should immediately stop using the lamps and contact Innovage for information on returning the product for a full refund. You can contact Innovage toll-free at 888-232-1535 or visit the firm's website at www.lamprecall.org.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of On Call. If you have questions, comments, or a question for Ask Caber, feel free to give us a call at 952-985-4700 or use the email address on your screen to send me an email. Thanks for joining us. All fire units are clear.
How could this happen?
Minnesota suffers 3 deaths and $2.5 million in property loss each year at the hands of children.
I don't know.
All children have a fascination with fire. How will it affect your home? Paid for by the Minnesota Fair Plan.